Hey guys, welcome back to Tamiya Legends, and once again, thank you for stopping by. So it's a build day, and we all love a build day, don't we? So it's the 2017 Big Wig. I know I always say it, I love this car. I honestly do love the Big Wig. It's, for some reason, it's a little bit Marmite, and I've never understood why. For me, personally, it just absolutely screams 80s Tamiya. It's got so much character. It's odd. It's different. It's still different today. Even looking back at all the first 100 cars, for me personally, there's nothing quite like the Big Wig, and I love it. This is the second one we've had on the channel. Unfortunately, I moved the first one on, but I'm putting that right now. This is for my collection, but this thing will run. I've got big plans how I'm going to run it and where I'm going to run it, but that's for a different video. So this is going to be a bit of a more sort of detailed chassis build in this video. I won't do the shell in this one because the shell's a little bit involved as well. There's some pretty tricky masking to be done to separate the blue and the white. Totally standard, this kit. It comes with its replica Technigold looking motor, which is 25 turn GT tuned. When we get to that stage on the build, I'll talk about that, because there's something I want to say about people who are moaning the new Vanquish, the new VKS didn't come with a motor like the Avanti and the Big Wig. There's a bloody good reason why it didn't, and I get a little bit narked listening to other people, because it kind of shows you, do they really know what they're talking about? Sorry, controversial, but I'll address that later on. Anyway, so this kit comes fully ball raced, no speed controller with it, but when I ordered it, I ordered a set of reproduction MCI decals for it as well, and that's only because I want it to look like the original did. Hardly any differences, to be honest. Obviously, on the back of the wing on the 2017 model, it says Mooncraft, whereas, let me put my finger on it, I don't know if you can see it, obviously the original was Dick CPEC. I think that's a change you have to make. Also, on the oval yellow ones here, the Riri says forward and these are Pennzoil. There's also a Weber that needs changing, and I think that might be it. I think there's 4 decals to change. Pretty sure that's the case. But again, that's going to be for a different video, but at the end of it, it will look identical to the original, which I like to do. So, yeah, enough dribble. Let's get building. Right, so we've got all the bits out, we're good to make a start. As I said, comes fully ball raced, and there's a couple of actual thrust bearings in there. Oops, that's what you get for not holding the packet correctly. So that was a nice touch. Now, there's a lot of spiel in the build manual, which you don't often get, if I'm honest. Now, this car was designed by, I'll say his name later, because obviously the gentleman's Japanese, and I'm going to probably pronounce it incredibly wrong. But there's a whole spiel about him here, but unfortunately it's in Japanese. But there's a nice little section here. There's also prototype pictures, what I want to show you. But let me just read this little segment out to you quickly, because it's very important to the Big Wig and why it was so special in my opinion. So I've given you the beautiful Technigold motor to look at while I'm dribbling on. Anyway, here goes. Tamiya ventured into the field of radio-controlled cars in 1976 with the release of the 1/12 scale Porsche 934, and since then, by using advanced technology and concepts, have simulated the world to this hobby, captivating new enthusiasts with every radio-controlled car released. Sorry, I'm reading this on camera. The Big Wig was produced in commemoration of Tamiya's 10th year in radio-controlled car development, and in cooperation with Japan's foremost racing car designer, Takuya Yura, who created the Big Wig stylish and aerodynamic body. Designer Yuri was born in Tokyo, Japan in 1950 and currently heads the Mooncraft design company. His interest in creative designs led him to the field of racing car body designing, achieving a reputation for high performance and aesthetic styling. Yuri's aerodynamic success can be observed in racing cars competing at the Fuji Grand Championship and the prestigious Le Mans 24-hour races. You falling asleep yet? His recent designing is not limited to only RC cars, but also industrial areas as well as as motorcycle helmets, etc. Now, of course, he added the Big Wig radio-controlled car, which was a first for him in this area. The process of designing a radio-controlled car is almost the same as designing a full-size car. Yori commented, during the development of the Big Wig, he also said it is essential for a racing car body designer to work closely with the chassis component designer in order to achieve satisfaction and good results. By working with Tamiya designers, he found out that this also applies to radio controlled cars and designing. The whole project is complicated as with full-size racing cars. It's just that with the finished product it's 10 times smaller than what you would get with a real size car. The Big Wig is a result of Yori's inspirations blended with Tamiya advanced technology. So yeah, sorry if that was a bit boring, but I'm just trying to emphasise why this car was a big deal back in the day. A few pictures of the prototypes. If any of you guys have had the guidebooks, you'll probably know this picture. This is Yori, who I believe it was made out of clay originally. And then see if we can just zoom in a little bit. And then some actual prototype body shell designs, the colour schemes. Some really cool stuff there, if I'm honest. And I know a few guys have replicated a couple of these designs as well, which I think's mega cool. Anyway, that's enough dribble. Now we'll build it. Right, that's stages 1 and 2 completed. The next stage 3 is to put these both together. But yeah, I just wanted to show you. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 bearings in that rear gearbox already. Obviously I showed you that bag of bearings before, but yeah, that wasn't it, because in bag B you got a load more bearings. So yeah, we've got that greased up. What I just wanted to say is, when people build this car, the rear gearbox is pretty tight, and it remains pretty tight until you put a battery through it, if I'm honest. But there's one thing you have to be really aware of. On the gearbox housings, there's a bearing that fits in, and it's mega tight, particularly on one side, and you push it in with your thumb and you think it's there, but it's not. So you have to be really sort of bear that in mind and get a little something over it just to tap it completely 100% home into the gearbox housing, because if you don't do that, you're going to have massive problems later down the line with it. Believe me, I know, because I've done that once. So yeah, let's bang these together and then we'll see what's next. Right, so that's a rear gearbox built up. As I say, if you get the fingers and thumbs on the cups, all feels pretty good. But when you got to do the diff, it's very tight. But as I say, that is normal. Obviously, I'm working the grease around. But literally one battery through it, and it's golden. So looking at the instructions now, we're supposed to fit the motor. So let's dig those parts out. So this is the motor, if you didn't know it already, with the lovely Big Wig logo on it. So again, this is a 25 turn GT tuned brush motor. It's not the best motor, it's not particularly quick. I feel that the super stocks, obviously they're 23 turn, but the RZ and BZ are quite a bit quicker than these. But of saying that, on 2S it's not too bad. So if you guys know your Technical motors, you'll know at the edges of the Big Wig where you've got those, oh look, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll put it next to the Technical. See if we can zoom in a little bit. So you see what Tamiya copied. It was supposed to kind of resemble the Technical motor, again, which the Big Wig came with, which I personally think was a fantastic touch. So that was first seen on the Avanti in 2011, and then only done again on the Big Wig. But they also did the Avanti Black Special with exactly the same motor, just a different decal, and it says Black Special on it. So that's why I don't want to sound a hater that I'm hating on other channels. I'm not, but you should know why the VQS doesn't come with this motor. It's because it didn't come with a Technical back in the day. So Tamiya are just keeping it real and keeping it correct, and I really like that. And again, I kind of agree with other channels. It would have been nice if it come with something better than a a silver can, 100%. But at least understand why it didn't. That's right. I'll get off my soapbox now. So it also comes with two pinion sizes. You get a 16 and a 17. So the 16 will give you a ratio of 8.1, whereas the 17 will give you a ratio of 7.6. So I'm going with the 17 on this one. Now, I'm not actually going to fit this motor because I am putting a little bit of a collection of brush motors together now, and I want that to go in the glass cabinet as it is. So what I'm actually going to do, I've dug out another motor, just a basic torque tune motor, and I'm going to fit that instead. And the reason I'm fitting it, because I'm not going to be able to run this for at least 4 months from building this today, but I want to use all the, because of how the motor goes in, it uses I'm just looking in the instructions what Tamiya call them, set plates. So it has these, you get 4 of these little brackets, and depending in the order you put those in with a screw in the middle, that sets your pinion to your spur. So it's a little bit of a mission, so I might as well get a motor in now, and then I don't lose those bits for the future when we do come to run it. Right, let's get that motor in. Right, apologies on that previous pinion information, that's complete rubbish I've just spoken. On the manual, a 16 and a 17 tooth are options, so you need to buy the pinions. So in the actual kit you get a 13 and a 15, so I've gone with the 15. I could probably dig a 17 out, but yeah, that's kind of roughly in the middle. Right, so you use a special plastic plate they give you to get your correct distance for your pinion to your motor, and it's right on the edge on the torque tune. It comes with the rotor end is very short, but there's enough there for it to do what I'm doing now. Right, so as I said, let's get it in the gearbox. Right, so up to stage 6, or we've just completed stage 5, so that's it. That's the rear gearbox assembly finished. Pretty straightforward. So step 6 now is starting to put together the front gearbox. So yeah, let's get cracking. Right, so we're up to section 8 now, so that's the front gearbox just ready to go together. Section 8 is actually bolting it up together, but I thought I'd just show you the insides of it and how it goes together. All greased up, we'll get it together, we'll put the bolts in, and then we'll just spread the grease with our fingers moving the transmission, as we always do. So yeah, let me dig the screws out for section 8 and we'll put it together. Right, and that takes us up to stage 9. So again, front and back gearbox is built. So stages 9, 10 and 11 are put in on the rear end. We're going to put the rear shock tower on, upper arms, and then make the arm assembly up with a view to getting it all connected up with the dog bones in. So yeah, let's get cracking with that. Right, so that's up to stage 12 finished, which is basically the full rear gearbox. So since you last saw it, obviously front and lower and upper arms are on, drive shafts are in, bearings are in the cups, and we've just put the rear bumper on and the under tray goes on the underneath, and everything is mega free as you would expect. So now moving on to stage 13. That's to assemble the front uprights, which is a little bit of a mission. It's hot shot style with all the little plates and screws. A little bit fiddly, but yeah, let's get those made. Right, so that's the arms together. There's nothing quite like putting a big wig together. I know the hot shot and boomerang has this set up, but as we go on the build, you'll see the big wig differs slightly. It's got a different chassis, it's got a rack and pinion steering, which is yet to come. But yeah, it's just very different, very old school design, isn't it? Which obviously it would be, but yeah, it's lovely to put together, if I'm honest. Right, so as I said, that was 15. So moving on to 16 now. We're going to connect the arms to the front gearbox. Got some O-rings to go in for the drive shafts. So anyway, let's get cracking with that. Right, that's front end complete. A little bit tighter on the arms because there's a double O-ring in the out cups, so it's pushing against the O-rings. Feels a little bit like a sway bar kind of wood, but obviously not working the same way. So yeah, anyway, that's that front and rear gearbox done. So now it's onto the chassis. Now I'm not putting any electrics in this at the moment apart from the motor. So the next thing is I need to dig a servo out, and you're about to see the infamous Big Wig rack and pinion steering system. Pretty cool. Right, so as I said, another novelty of the Big Wig is a rack and pinion steering. So that's your servo. So the servo doesn't actually get bolted down as it normally would. It has these side plates on that you adjust to probably about 3, maybe 4mm either side, and I'll show you why in a sec. Then you have your normal servo saver on, and then you have the pinion gear. So that just, it's quite heavily greased up now, so that just sits inside the chassis, and then again this plate here gets greased up. So let me just do this on camera, and then that just goes over the top and drops in like that. Now there's going to be 2 bolts that go down, and those 2 bolts at the front are actually what hold the servo in place. So when that's down tight, that won't move. It does move slightly. It's not like firmly bolted down, but that's how it works. So I'll get the 2 bolts in that, and then we'll see what's next. Right, so a little bit of foam tape there, a little bit of double-sided on top of the servo. Not obviously, as I said, I'm not fitting the electronic speed controller, but this plate now is going to go across the top there, and when it's bolted down it'll be touching the servo, which will just completely stop it from moving. So yeah, let's get that down and then see what's next. Right, so that's the top end of the rack and pinion steering done. As I say now, because that's firmly down, that's holding the servo fully in place with this front. So then you go to the underneath, where you can kind of see, so that's obviously the pinion, and then that's your rack, which goes across. Very different. Now, it has rubber gaiters, and you have these 2 square springs for the gaiters. It's got separate grease for it, and then once all that's in place, that then bolts down with this cap that goes over everything with your gaiters coming out either side. So anyway, we've got to make some turnbuckles, but I'm going to assemble all this off camera because I need to make sure I get this bang on. So that's the final stages before I stick it on. So I've greased the pinion and what have you. That will sit flat once it's bolted on. But yeah, as I said, very different from anything else. And, you get the idea of how it works. So anyway, I'll dig the 4 bolts out and we'll get this clamped down now. And that's it. That's what it looks like finished. Told you, it's very different if you've not seen it before. See if I can just get a grip of it, give you an idea. That's how it works. And it works as well. It definitely does. It's not got the sharpest turning circle, but yeah, it does the job. And I believe there are some mods you can make to it, which we may look at in the future when we do come to run it. Anyway, now we're on to step 22. We're getting there, to be fair. So now it's time to bolt the rear gearbox on and put the fancy exhaust on as well. Right, that's the rear gearbox attached. I did forget to put the top deck mount in position, so I'll put that mount in now. So there's 6 screws, 2 that go into knee underneath that captures the tray, and then 4 on it, 2 on either side, which 2 of them hold the exhausts on. Now, something I've never done, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but they've done like it's supposed to be an engine block, like a V8, and you've got your 2 exhausts coming out. What I've seen some guys do, and unfortunately I don't think I can do it because I don't have any small enough rubber tubing. But what we do is they paint these grills up. I've seen some paint the whole engine block like silver and then do the fins black. Or what I'm probably going to do when we come to do the body shell, I'll colour the fins in, and the spark plug things, the round, I'll colour them in chrome just to add a little bit of detail, and then maybe in the future if I can get some thin rubber tubing, and then you just loop it over and it looks absolutely superb. Complete waste of time, but I just think it's, as a little bit of detail, it looks pretty cool. As like your little your big V8 engine block sat there, and then of course you've got your exhaust. So yeah, I'm just looking at the manual now, and we're up to stage 23. So fit the prop shaft and at the same time put the front gearbox on, and at the same time as doing that put the front shock holders on. Right, let's get cracking. And that's the front bolted on. Just 4 bolts, including at the same time putting the front shock towers on. But yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll try to show you. I've connected the turnbuckles. See if the camera will stay in position. What am I doing? Actually steering. Working. Told you, if you've not done a big wig, it's very different. It's gone. I know it's part of the Hot Shot and Boomerang family, but for me, it's loosely a member of that family because it is so different in other areas. I absolutely love this thing. Anyway, it's the shocks next, so I'll get all 4 dampers made up. Right, front and back shocks made. They both use double hole piston, but obviously rears are slightly longer. A little bit of adjustment at the bottom with the nut, but that's something more I'd look at when we come to run it. But anyway, yeah, now let's dig the brackets out to mount them and get the shocks on. Right, so obviously shocks are on. I've put the 2 antenna wires on. I will have to take those back off when it's finished because they won't go in the cabinet. But yeah, if you're going to run them, there's a must to have those on. What else is so that's it. So next stage is step 29, which is to fit the big front bumper, and then let me just have a quick flick. So we'll fit bumper on 29, and then wheels and tyres, but there's also the I call it the top deck, the battery cover holder, but it does add strength to the car. So let's get those both fitted before we do wheels and tyres. Right, there's a extremely distinctive Big Wig bumper, and that's the all underneath now protected, and that covers the rack and pinion stuff, so it covers all that up. And then this is I think they call it a battery cover, but without that the chassis really flexes a lot. That really strengthens it up. Got to be careful when you're putting it in because you can break one of these edges really easily, and then just gets held with a body pin. So that's the car built. So yeah, wheels and tyres next. That's the wheels on the tyres, or even the tyres on the wheels. That's the lovely Mooncraft dish wheels. That's the only car those wheels were used on, which I'm guessing it would be if you've got Mooncraft stamped on them. Standard oval blocks, I think they're called. Thin fronts, wider rears. We will get the tyre writing done, but that'll be in the body shell video. Anyway, let's get them on the car. And that is the chassis finished. Very enjoyable. Don't know how long that took. Probably 6 hours on and off. Mainly on, but that's including making silly videos. But yeah, so I've not put any of this suspension adjusters in, so it's a little bit flat as you would expect. But as I say, not running it, so that's its full ride height, and you see it sinks on the back end. But it kind of gives me the correct stance for the shelf for now until we do get it running. But very easy fix to put the shock adjusters on. Don't think I've missed anything else out really apart from the electronic side of it. But yeah, I enjoyed that. And that's it. The Big Wig chassis built. Very enjoyable. I know I've said it a few times on this video, but there's nothing quite like the Big Wig. It's quite a unique car. This chassis was only ever done on this car. And as I say, they run great. They run great for what they are. It's got a bit of weight to it. So yeah, this is the first time with the wheels and tyres on you can kind of get a rough gauge of how it feels, and you can feel that freeing up already. Actually, I've had a little play with it myself. Front diff is slightly freer, but not a great deal in it, and then the overall drive, it's all good. But again, we'll be when we come to run it, we'll be changing the motor out, no doubt, unless maybe we will run it with the torque tuned. No idea. But yeah, very enjoyable. So next up, it's about 3:30 in the afternoon here now, so it's taken most of today to build this. So I'll do the body tomorrow, because it's quite involved. It's got a little bit of tricky masking right at the rear end where the big wing is, where it goes from white to blue. You've not got a lot of room in there, so it'll be one where I have to cut the stripe decals up, and I'll masking tape. I'll tap them to the outside, tack them to the outside, and then we'll mask it while the decals are on the outside. A little bit of a mission, but it's worth sort of doing right because it looks absolutely superb. Then obviously we've got the big driver unit to do. I'm going to do something with that engine block, nothing major, just put a little bit of chrome on it. There's a tyre writing to do, and then obviously the main decaling. So yeah, a little bit of a work to do. Well, and that video itself, that'll take most of the day. We're waiting for it to dry and things like that. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. So I'll end this video here. So thanks so much for watching. It's massively appreciated. If you are new to this channel, if you could please consider liking and subscribing. And if you do that, smash that notification bell for our weekly videos. And as always, happy RCing.